really dislike Jake Paul. Now, I don't dislike him. I understand him. I want to make something clear. I would still kick the living fuck out of
Andrew Tate just humiliated Jake Paul on live TV in the most embarrassing way imaginable. Honestly, should we expect anything different from Jake? He has a knack for sinking below even the lowest expectations. First, he backed out of Andrew Tate's $3 million fight challenge, then had the nerve to involve Mike Tyson in a staged fight. Jake knew Tyson was far from his prime, yet he still exploited the legendary boxer for views and a quick payday.
Because he's allowed himself to become the biggest clown on the internet, and now he's famous, right? Because he's an idiot, but he has a bunch of money, so he gets to...
Now Jake Paul is trying a new tactic, provoking Andrew Tate into a fight while knowing full well he'll never actually step into the ring. Why? Because Jake knows he'd lose. He's counting on Tate declining the offer so he can twist the story to inflate his ego. But Andrew Tate isn't taking the bait. Instead, he tore Jake apart on live TV, exposing every bit of his fakery for the world to see. Hell,
you only want to lose to them so you can say, well, I lost to Conor McGregor. Why don't you lose to an old man who's retired? I live in the real f***ing world, Jake. There's a whole bunch of fighters out here who live in the real f***ing world. Men who are dangerous and dead.
Andrew Tate completely flipped the script with his response. Instead of rejecting the fight, he called Jake Paul's bluff and accepted the challenge. And what was Jake's reaction? He disappeared. Completely ghosted.
But I would whoop his ass. But he wouldn't take a fight against me, because when he loses, I'm not nearly on his level of fame, right? So like, he lost to who? Whereas if he loses to Conor McGregor, it's no big deal. Well, he lost to Conor McGregor, who cares, right? That's what it's about.
Jake's entire plan hinged on Andrew Tate refusing the fight, giving him the chance to spin a story about being the fearless warrior no one dares to challenge. But with Tate ready to step into the ring, Jake is scrambling. He didn't see this coming, and now he's backed into a corner with no way out. The so-called fearless, Jake Paul, has gone completely silent, proving once again that he's all talk and no action. I guess I should bring up that Jake Paul has gone completely silent, proving once again that he's all talk and no action.
I'm not some washed-up UFC fighter. I'm not smaller than him. I would beat the living shit out of him, and if he wants to fight, I'll fight him any day of the week, and I'll fucking wreck him.
Andrew Tate didn't just challenge Jake Paul to a fight. He handed him a brutal reality check so sharp, it might as well have come with a warning label. He outright called Jake's career a joke, accusing him of reducing boxing to a TikTok-friendly circus. Hard to argue when Jake's idea of competition involves a 58-year-old Mike Tyson. And speaking of Tyson, let's address how Jake dragged this legendary heavyweight icon into his antics. Mike Tyson, the man, the myth, the heavyweight legend, was reduced to a content gimmick just so Jake could pretend to be tough. Tate summed it up perfectly. It wasn't boxing. It was elder abuse. Jake didn't see Tyson as the revered figure who revolutionized the sport. To him, Tyson was just a shortcut, a way to grab headlines without any real risk. The worst part? Jake actually thought no one would notice.
However, I do understand what he's doing. I understand that he is very, very smart, even with his marketing angle. I'm just a YouTuber. You're not just a YouTuber. You're a full-grown man with the best coaches in the world who's dedicated his life to learning how to box for years. You know how to box. You're not a complete amateur. You know how to box very well. 3, 4, 5 years of training combat sports. You can box. The guy's not a jack.
Jake Paul's so-called fight history is his greatest comedy act. A highlight reel of low-risk, high-reward stunts that fool casual fans into thinking he's the next big thing. It's like expecting fireworks and getting a box of sparklers. He's faced retired MMA fighters who didn't even specialize in striking. Ben Askren, a wrestler with the speed of a snail, Tyron Woodley, a shadow of his former self, and Nate Robinson, a basketball player who looked like he'd never thrown a punch in his life. Andrew Tate shredded that illusion like a wet paper towel. Jake, he said, if you trained half as much as you cherry-pick opponents, maybe you'd actually earn some respect.
He is not just a YouTuber. He is a young man training with Canelo and Ryan Garcia.
When I made the video, I really disliked Jake Paul. Now, I don't dislike him.
Then there's the $3 million challenge. A genuine offer, no gimmicks, no staged spectacle. Winner takes all, no excuses. Tate wasn't in it for the money. He wanted to expose Jake for who he truly is. And what did Jake do? He ran. Not walked, not jogged. Ran. The truth is, Jake Paul thrives in controlled environments. His fights are carefully choreographed to protect his ego and preserve his narrative. He's the master of playing it safe while pretending to take risks. But a fight with Andrew Tate? That's not in the script. That's a gamble Jake can't afford because it threatens to destroy the carefully crafted image his entire brand depends on. And depends on.
$3 million. You put 3, I put 3. Winner takes all. You know my name, Andrew Tate. I will fight you any day, anytime. Let's fucking go. If I were to fight Jake Paul, I would take it completely seriously like a real fight, and I'd whoop his ass. I'd beat him. Jake. Everyone thinks he's just a...
Jake Paul's refusal of Andrew Tate's challenge wasn't just a strategic dodge. It was a confession. A confession that all his bravado and trash talk is exactly that, empty words. The self-proclaimed disruptor and game changer of boxing went radio silent when faced with a real threat. Jose Antonio Triago dragged his car into the Commons effort. Let's not forget Jake's loss to Tommy Fury, the beginning of his downfall. Fighting Tate would have been the final nail in the coffin, and Jake knew it. But even without the fight, Andrew Tate's public takedown of Jake was devastating enough. This wasn't just a roast, it was a full-on humiliation, a masterclass in exposing a fraud. Jake's TikTok followers and YouTube fans might still buy into his act, but the rest of the world, they see through it now. Tate reminded everyone what boxing truly stands for: respect, skill, and authenticity. Jake Paul, he's just a loudmouth who lucked into fame by gaming the algorithm. Elephant in the room. Jake's TikTok followers and coach might still be watching Pete Davidson, but the rest of the world, they see through it, and Tate reminds everyone what boxing truly stands for: respect, skill, and authenticity. Jake Paul, he's just a loudmouth who lucked into fame by gaming the algorithm. Tate's psychological warfare against Jake Paul was nothing short of surgical. He didn't just call Jake a clown, he dismantled his entire persona with precision. Accusing Jake of being a kid playing dress-up in a sport he doesn't respect, Tate delivered a savage line. Jake, your legacy isn't built on fights, it's built on TikTok captions. It was so cutting, Jake probably needed an ice pack for his ego. This wasn't just trash talk, it was psychological destruction. Jake's carefully constructed image of confidence crumbled in real time. Social media had a field day, with platforms like Twitter and Instagram exploding with memes and hashtags like Jake Paul exposed and TV Jake. Fans gleefully roasted Jake for dodging Tate's $3 million winner-takes-all challenge. The irony was palpable. Jake, the self-proclaimed fearless fighter, ran faster than his own hype train. His persona as a fearless disruptor in boxing was now as shaky as one of his over-the-top post-fight celebrations. The backlash wasn't just another day online, it was brutal. Fans, haters, and casual observers piled on. Even Jake's most loyal followers started second-guessing their support. Memes labeled him a fraud, a runner, and most damning of all, a coward. Andrew Tate hit the nail on the head when he said, "Jake, even your fans know you cherry-pick fights to protect your brand." And the worst part? He was absolutely right. And meanwhile, Andrew Tate emerged unscathed, his reputation soaring. He didn't need to step into the ring to expose Jake. By simply issuing the challenge and watching Jake fumble, Tate cemented his dominance. Fans now see him as the real deal. A fighter who doesn't need gimmicks or hand-picked opponents to prove his worth. This wasn't just a win for Andrew Tate, it was a masterstroke. He positioned himself as a beacon of authenticity in a sport increasingly plagued by YouTubers and influencers pretending to be athletes. Jake Paul might have millions, but no amount of money can buy back the respect he just lost.
Two brothers, one cage. Jake Logan, you Tristan. Who comes out alive?
You know what? I'm trying so hard to not start internet beefs. I'm really trying not to.
You could say Jake and Logan, man. Don't worry about it.
No, I can't lie. Bro, I'm going through life. I'm trying to live peaceful now. I've got Fed agents in my house. Matrix is out.
For Jake Paul, this was a PR disaster of epic proportions. His entire brand is built on being fearless and ready to fight anyone. Rejecting Andrew Tate's challenge didn't just dent that image, it blew a massive hole right through it. This wasn't just about dodging a fight, it was about what that dodge represents. A fight with Tate wasn't just risky, it was a direct threat to the carefully crafted illusion Jake has spent years building. His loss to Tommy Fury had already exposed cracks in his armor, but stepping into the ring with Tate could have been the final, shattering blow. Jake knew it. Andrew Tate's mic drop moment sealed the deal. Jake, you don't need boxing gloves. You need to stay on YouTube, where losing isn't as painful. Brutal, accurate, and so sharp it could have cut glass. Jake's rejection of the fight wasn't just about avoiding a tough opponent. It was an unspoken confession. Deep down, he knows he's out of his league. Tate didn't need to prove anything. His legacy is already solid. But Jake, he needed this fight to keep the illusion alive. And now, that illusion has crumbled. The fallout from this debacle is something Jake may never recover from. His path to redemption isn't just steep, it's nearly vertical. Hyping his next fight won't be enough. He'll have to convince a skeptical audience that he's more than just a YouTuber with boxing gloves. And let's be real, that's a tall order when even your most loyal fans are starting to question your credibility. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. For more exciting videos, make sure to hit the bell icon and stay updated. Subscribe to Boxing Hub now for all the latest in boxing.